Today I'm going to show you how you can use Zapier to connect Strava to Google Sheets and do some fun stuff with some charts that can be built and updated automatically. This might be something that you can do with Strava Summit, but if you like to tinker with stuff and see long views of historical graphs and not pay premiums for things, then this might be something that you're interested in doing at home. Before I show you how, I'll show you actually what you're building. Here I have a Strava dashboard set up, so I have Strava that's every time I complete an activity, it's automatically pushing directly into Google Sheets. So you can see I did an activity this morning. These are the stats that I wanted to gather, and every time an activity is done, a new row is added, and then that's automatically updated across these charts that I've built for tracking my overall pace, my overall heart rate, and then I actually built out just to track my pace on road runs, because pace on trail and road tend to be significantly different. And I've done that just by adding a filter here on this Google Sheet to filter out run and trail run for this particular graph here. What I do ultimately is I actually embed these into a Google Slides presentation and leave these sometimes running around a computer on my house if I'm feeling particularly nerdy, and so that they can all be nice and presentable in one spot. And this is an actual dashboard that I built. I'll show you this maybe later on. It's a little more complex. And then these can be just easily embedded into a Google Slides presentation by hitting Insert Chart from Sheets, so that these can be automatically updated as well, so that they're always in sync. So let me show you how this is done. So first you're going to go over to Zapier, Zapier.com. Zapier is basically a non-coding platform for building integrations between thousands of applications. So if you haven't made an account, you'll just need to do that quickly. It's really easy to do. And then once you come in, you're going to hit Make a Zap. So Zap basically is when this happens, I want this to happen. So the one that we're going to set up today is that when I do an activity in Strava, so there's the app there, and the event is a new activity. Every time I do a new activity, continue. Now, if you haven't connected your Strava account, it will prompt you to connect your Strava account. It's really easy. You just type in your username and password from Strava. I'll show you really quickly. I'll just add a new account. It'll take you to the Strava website. You choose what data that you want to be granted. Type in your credentials. So I'll go ahead and select my Strava account that I've used previously. So then you hit continue. Now, I always do a test and review just to make sure that this is testing it, to make sure that it can actually pull activities out of Strava. And you can see that it's successfully pulling out data, so I know that's good to go. There's a check mark here, check mark up here at the top, so we're good. So I'm done editing there. So now whenever I want to do a new activity in Strava, I want a new row in Google Sheets to be created. So I'm going to hit Google Sheets here, and I want to create a spreadsheet row. You can do a variety of different things here. I'm not a pro at this, but you can do, again, a lot of different stuff. But for what we're doing today, we're just going to create a spreadsheet row. We'll hit continue. Google Sheets account. This is where, of course, if you hadn't connected yours, you would click add new account, select your Google account. There's all of my personal information if you want to use it. And I'll click that and connect that here. Continue. And now this is where things get, quote, a little more technical. What you're going to do is you're going to customize the spreadsheet row. So we're going to pull this out of my Google Drive. And what you will want to do before you do this is create a new Google Sheet where you want this stuff updated. So I've created a new one here. It's blank, called Strava Demo. So once you select your Google Drive, then it'll actually pull the Google Sheets that you have. So and they should be listed, I think, by most recent. So here's that Strava Demo, and I'll just click on that. And the worksheet, if you're unfamiliar, worksheet refers to these worksheets here in the bottom corner. So I only have one worksheet, so I'm going to select worksheet 1 here. And then that'll be attached. And then you go about selecting the fields that you want from Strava to be imported into the Google Sheet. So if you haven't added headers, that's probably a good time to do so. So Strava Demo, so you'll see here I have ones built out. I use activity ID just because you don't necessarily need it for what we're doing here, but it just helps. These are like unique identifiers, so it makes sure that all runs are different. But activity ID, name, type, distance, pace, average heart rate, and date. So I'm going to go ahead and build those out. And we'll go ahead and copy those. If you just added them, then you can come back to Zapier and we'll hit refresh fields. And it should be pulling headers. We'll give that just a second to load. And you can see, boom, there you go. So here are the rows that the columns that I've indicated here: activity ID, name, type. So now what we go through is we go through the fields that you can pull from Strava, and there are a lot of them. These are all the things that you can pull from Strava, and you just assign them. So I'm going to go activity. I'm not sure why that was not pulling up, but let's do name here. Let's do type, run, distance. There's distance in kilometers. I'm going to do distance in miles because I'm customary. Pace, again, there's pace per kilometer, but we'll do pace per mile. Average heart rate, let's see if we can find that. There it is. And then date, I definitely want that. So and if we can't, we'll just, formatted start date. And I like it formatted like that. And then let's see if we can't find activity, but it seems like we're having some trouble here. So you could even do that URL. That would be kind of fun to do because then you could just click on it and it would take you to the URL in Strava. So that's actually maybe something that I'll add. So now I hit continue. So this is going to now set it up. And we'll give that just a second. This is building it all out, making sure that it's all going to work. And boom, there we go. So it's all formatted. So I always test and review. So let's test. It'll actually do a full test of all of the data. Just so you make sure that you're in the clear, you test everything, and boom, test was successful. So now done editing, and we turn our Zap on up here on this button or up here in the top right corner. So you turn that on once it fires up. And then after that, you're basically done. I mean, it really is that easy. So now once that is open, and it runs every 15 minutes. So if you're on the free, 15 minutes should be fine, unless you're doing like Strava activities every 3 minutes and you have to see them. If you are, then you probably have some additional issues that you need to work through. So now this data will come in automatically. Every time you complete an activity, you can bet on that coming through. I won't necessarily go through how to build charts right now. It's pretty simple. Just as a quick overview, you select these two that you would want and then hit insert chart. And then you can do a lot of formatting behind them. Google some of that on how to create charts. And you can do a lot of fun stuff with that. From there, what I do, and then of course, as I showed you already, embed them into dashboards or into Google Slides presentations using this in insert chart functionality from Sheets. I select where I want them to come from, so Strava dashboard, and then you can select those sheets and they'll be put in. Lastly, what I'll do is this is a dashboard that I use that actually pulls from base days left, base miles completed, base miles, average heart rate, all of these different things into a dashboard. If you're interested in learning about those, I suggest you check out lucidchart.com. They actually have it's a diagramming application that allows you to really build out anything that you want. And I've built out a dashboard here for a marathon that I'm thinking about training for, and then using some cool stuff in the bottom right corner here, you can actually add data, and you can see I've attached those Strava totals that I showed you earlier, and you can actually take these and actually drag and drop this data into other areas of your sheet. And so every time you do a run, when it updates the Google Sheet, it'll actually push the data and update the data across this dashboard. So that takes a little more building, and as you can see, there are errors every once in a while on it. Kind of fun, nice bonus, but these are the ones probably that I use the most now, and kind of fun to track. And then every few days I'll just get in here and look at how I'm doing, and it's all done automatically.